Dante's Inferno is a timeless classic written nearly 700 years ago by the great poet Dante Alighieri. The Inferno, or Hell, is the first part of La Divina Commedia, the Divine Comedy, which is an epic poem that demonstrates Dante's journey through hell, purgatory, and eventually paradise, where he finds eternal salvation with Beatrice, who is the love of his life. Although in today's vocabulary a comedy is characterized by humor, a comedy in medieval times when Dante wrote was typically an epic tale with a happy ending. Though filled with rich wisdom, there is nothing funny to be found in the Inferno. In his 33 cantos, or short subsections of the poem, Dante takes us on a journey with him as he travels through hell in order to overcome his fears. Along the way, Dante encounters spiritual battles which we can all relate to, as well as the real people from the past who have done wrong. The first canto of the poem finds Dante lost in the dark woods, having lost his path, both in a literal and spiritual sense. He is poised to climb a short mountain, but is suddenly overcome with great fear. It is here that Dante meets Virgil, the great Roman poet and Dante's poetic idol, who explains that he was summoned from limbo to be Dante's leader in order to guide him through the atrocities of hell into a life of salvation so that he can overcome his fears. Inspired together, Dante and Virgil enter hell, exploring its nine circles and meeting the biblical, historical, and mythological characters who suffer eternally. The stark imagery in which Dante writes often leaves Dante petrified and his readers enamored and curious. The nine circles of hell describe the nature of sins. They are composed of people who were overcome by the sins of lust, gluttony, greed, anger, heresy, violence, fraud, and treachery. Amongst many characters that we meet, there are those such as Cain, Judas, Aristotle, Cleopatra, and the infamous Paolo and Francesca who have been overcome by a life of lust. Dante must eventually overcome Lucifer in order to return to earth, leading us into the second part of the comedy, Purgatory. Dante's Inferno can be enjoyed on a plethora of levels. It has survived as a work of poetic brilliance, an epic adventure, and a great historical account using stark imagery that captures the imagination of its audience. I highly recommend reading the Penguin Classics version of the book, which effectively translates the poem using modern language. It also has chapter notes that explain the relevance of certain characters or places. Dante's Inferno is an overall great read, one that you will never forget.